And normally you wouldn't say the defending champs are a surprise if they're doing well, right? But considering who's gone, namely Kawhi Leonard, and their injuries, many so far, the Raptors qualify as they sit fourth in the Eastern Conference standings. The Miami Heat added a star in the offseason in Jimmy Butler, and then they took off. Bam Adebayo is as improved as anybody in the league this season, and the Heat, who missed the postseason last year, now have the second best record in the East. After trading away Russell Westbrook, this figured to be a rebuilding situation in Oklahoma City, but guess what? Nobody told the players on the floor, and the Thunder are comfortably above the playoff cut line as things stand, currently seventh. And there is no more surprising overachievers so far than the Memphis Grizzlies, who have the prohibitive favorite for Rookie of the Year, and at the moment, the 8th spot in the West, ahead of the likes of San Antonio and Portland, a New Orleans team that was expected maybe to get back into the postseason as well. Here are the records of those 5 teams I mentioned. Not all pluses. The Raptors and the Thunder are both 2 games worse than they were at the same time last year. The Grizzlies are exactly where they were, but given the preseason expectations, I think we would all agree those are surprising numbers right now. When you look at these 5 teams, guys, who stands out as the most surprising so far?
Wow, that's a heck of a question. For me, it would probably be the Memphis Grizzlies. I mean, I just thought, they were going to be led by rookies and a second-year young guy in Jaren Jackson Jr. I didn't have them being anywhere near the playoff race, and let alone at the halfway point to be sitting in 8th place.
And a first-year head coach in Taylor Jenkins.
Yeah, I didn't know a lot about him other than he came from Mike Budenholzer's system, which is obviously great, and he clearly learned a lot. He's done a terrific job. That team ends up in the playoffs. He's got to be a candidate at least for Coach of the Year.
For sure.
Yeah. For me, it's actually Oklahoma City. And Miami certainly early on was a shocker, but they've done it long enough now this season for me to believe in what they got working. I wrote the Thunder in a completely different category this year, given the way they took their team apart over the summer, the assets Sam Presti had to acquire. When you lose Russell Westbrook, the greatest player in franchise history, and then a player the caliber of Paul George in the same summer, same couple of weeks, I did not expect things to work out the way they have in Oklahoma City at all. Give credit to Billy Donovan and Chris Paul and everybody in Oklahoma City for ignoring whatever the external expectation might have been and playing their tails off to be a factor in the Western Conference playoff chase. This is why you enjoy this league, is because for whatever we think we know about some of these teams, they always write their own history, through the course of a different season. And this gives you a glimpse to me at just how potent leadership can be when it's done the way Chris Paul's doing it. I mean, what a fantastic way.
I mean, and he's on your MVP list down there in the honorable mention, and deservedly so. Look, I think that we all thought their players were pretty good. We questioned what their health would be like, and it's been good. And then we really questioned, the main question on them is we didn't think they were going to keep this team together. And they still may choose not to. If they do, this is clearly a playoff team. When they put Schroeder in for Terrence Ferguson and play that 5-man unit, I read the other day, it's the best 5-man unit in the NBA. 3 point guards together, all of them can make plays, and then maybe one of the most underrated players in the league in Danilo Gallinari. Well, every time that guy's healthy, he's going to play efficiently and put up numbers. And then Steven Adams takes care of things around the basket. And Nerlens Noel has backed him up pretty darn well.
I'm less surprised that they are where they are. If you could have told me before the season began that they would still be a team. I guess I'm more surprised that they're still a team at this point. And as you said, in a month, they may not be a team. We don't know.
I mean, teams like Portland and San Antonio are hoping they won't be. The team's trying to get in because, look, they might give up a playoff spot, but if they stay together, only some major injury stuff's going to keep them out of the playoffs.
How about the Miami Heat, who play Oklahoma City tonight? Obviously, a splashy signing in Jimmy Butler, but to go from where they were, and it was a disappointing final season for Dwayne Wade that they didn't make the postseason, to go from where they were to number 2 in the East right now, that is a surprise.
Huge surprise, but they also subtracted another piece to the puzzle there that may have been holding them back in Hassan Whiteside. They had to figure out what his future was going to be. Turns out he doesn't have one with the Heat, but what you get in return is a fresh start for Jimmy Butler to walk in and clearly announce himself as the leader of this group. To me, perfect timing for Jimmy Butler, and really a great time for the Miami Heat to kind of turn the page from one era to the next one. Their young guys have been great. Eric Spoelstra's consistent message about how they do business, to me, resonates in that locker room, whether you've been around in this league for a while or not. And they're cleaning up some stuff as they get to this point. The best part of what Miami's doing is they weren't expected to be here, but I don't think there's any doubt that now that they are, they're going to be around for a while in the East with the core group that they have assembled.
Yeah, and what's amazing with that core group is these weren't guys, by and large, that they could go out and draft real high. I mean, you look at Kendrick Nunn, undrafted. Duncan Robinson, undrafted. That's 2 starters right there. Bam Adebayo, not a top 10 pick.
Right.
And should be an all-star this year, and I think that's why Whiteside went out the door. And then Jimmy Butler's leadership's been tremendous. And then another guy who nobody talks about who's having a great year there is Goran Dragic, and really provides them with the stability. One warning on the Heat, though. They've won a lot of close games.
Buyer beware.
Yeah, a bunch of overtime games.
Yep.
Those things tend to even out as the year goes on. And over the last 15 games, their defense has really started to slip. They're in the bottom 10 in the league. I think Eric Spoelstra will try to get that corrected soon. He knows bottom 10 defenses in the long run are not going to finish real well.
You know, how about the Raptors? What kind of a job, or what has impressed you most about what Nick Nurse has been able to do with this team the year post-Kawhi, post-championship?
Yeah, it's been incredible what he's done. I think that organization, going back to when Dwayne Casey was there and with Masai Ujiri, they've done a tremendous job of player development. Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam, Chris Boucher, Norman Powell, the list goes on and on. They've done a great job. And so when the injuries have hit, they've been able to survive. Their defense has been tremendous. They have a good base, and that has allowed Nick Nurse to tinker. And we've seen no one who does as many different things as Nick Nurse has. He'll play you straight zone, diamond in one, triangle in two. He'll throw anything at you game plan-wise, but the foundation is solid that we're going to compete and play hard. They don't have many weaknesses there. They don't rebound the ball well, and that's about it. Everything else, they do a good job.